Hello everybody, this is Freddy from Turn Vertical, and in today's video I want to show you how to grow your Facebook ad account when you're starting from zero. If you don't have any spend at all, I'm going to show you how to do that. And yeah, I would say let's get right into it. So first things first, things that you need, which are basically essential if you want to run good Facebook ads, if you want to scale your Facebook ads up. And that are first of all good AOV, like there needs to be a decent AOV, and I would say there are also instances where lower AOVs can work. So I'm not saying if your AOV is $20 that you can't get Facebook ads to work. It's just harder. But basically, I would consider a good AOV to be like 45 plus-ish. If you're in the 50s, you're definitely off, for a good start. Then number two would be a good conversion rate. In relation to your AOV, there needs to be at least somewhat of a decent conversion rate. So for example, if your AOV is $20 and your conversion rate is 10%, you can kind of offset that bad AOV. But if your AOV is $20 and your conversion rate is 1%, you're not off for a good start. And then number three, you need good margins. I would say good margins are somewhere, that are like 50% plus. So for example, your AOV is $50 and then your product costs maybe like $10 and your shipping is like $5. And like fees is what, like another $5, then you have like $25 in total and you have like a 50% margin. So that's, first of all, I think the stuff that you need. And then, we kind of come into the next step, which is calculating the money that you can essentially waste within, for Facebook ads. I think that this part is super essential because many people like throw up like $100 per day Facebook ad and then let it run for like 2 or 3 days, I'm out of money, boom, they turn off the ad. Yes, the more money you can spend within a day on Facebook, the more data you're gonna get, the smarter Facebook's gonna get, and other kind of stuff. But if you just have $10 to spend on Facebook ads, that's still better than, in my opinion, $0. So what you want to do is basically calculate the budget that you have per month. Let's say it's, like 500, and then you're just going to divide it by 30 for like days in a month. And that is basically the budget that you can just, put on Facebook, and, you don't care if it goes away. It's kind of it's the same as investing into stocks, right? You should only invest money into stocks which you are okay with like losing. Same goes for Facebook ads. If you have, you make 5,000 per month, and after everything you still have like 2,000 left, and then you'll be like, okay, I'm okay with losing 2,000 per month on Facebook. Then you're going to do 2,000 divided by 30, and then you can do that month over month again until your ads are profitable, and then you can obviously live from, maybe the income that you generate from a store or whatever. Then the next thing that's super important is calculate your target CPA, right? Your ROAS only says something to a certain extent, so it's important that you calculate the CPA, which makes you basically break even. That's essentially net sales minus cost of goods, shipping, etc. So again, $40 AOV, $10 product cost, $5 shipping. Obviously, on top of that comes like payment fees, etc. But I'm not here for that formula. I just wanted to let you know that you need to calculate your target CPA. And in this instance, $40 AOV, $10 product cost, $5 shipping. Your break even CPA would be good. You have would be $25. You have a very good profit margin, which is like 60%ish. And you definitely, that is basically a good start for Facebook ads. Then, what should be your first goal when it comes to, going towards profitable Facebook ads? And first of all, your goal should be to find an ad that converts. Your CPA doesn't matter, it's not 100% accurate. Obviously, if your CPA is 500, it's way too much. But let's say if your target CPA, your break-even CPA, like in this example, is like 25, and you find an ad that consistently gives you CPAs at 100. That's obviously, still 3 times higher than you want it to be, but it's still something, right? You've found something that at least gets some people to convert. So, if your CPA is too high, but it's still obviously in some relation to your target CPA, then you're off for a good start, because that means maybe you found a creative type which, at least gets some interest, and now you can improve that creative type and obviously decrease the CPA, right? But if you have an ad that doesn't generate any sales, or like a sale for like every $1,000, then you obviously don't have a good start. But if there's something, you're paying $100 for each purchase, and that consistently, that's actually a good start in my opinion, because the creative works in some ways. You just need to work on improving that ad, and I have videos on how to improve your creatives, etc. But find an ad that converts. That's the number one goal first. So now your search is obviously for the to find a creative that converts. Again, your CPA does not matter too much at the beginning. It's just finding some traction at the very least. And how do you find the creative that converts? I have a separate video about how to make your first $100,000 creative. It's linked up right here. But essentially, in short, it's, look at your competitors, save their ads, analyze their ads, what angles are they using, what emotions are they evoking, what type of creatives are they using. For example, are they only using video? Are they only using UGC ads? Are they only using images? Like that type of stuff is super important. Then what angles are they using and what emotions are they evoking? And then, the question that you should be asking yourself is, what can I replicate from this? Basically, if they run lots of image ads with just like the plain product with like a nice background, you can easily replicate this, right? But if it's like a super high-end production, that's probably not so easy for you to replicate. So, what angles are they using? What emotions are they evoking? What types of creatives are they using? You can probably copy the angle and the emotion. And then you can probably also copy the video. If they're using lots of videos, you just use video as well. You're going to start with that. And then, how can I replicate this? What's the easiest way? So you can also replicate UGC videos. You can get UGC videos, for example, from us. But there are also many other ways to get UGC, especially if you're on a tight budget. You don't need to have A+ UGC ads. There needs to be just something, again, to start getting traction, to analyze, could this be something that's working? Or can I just throw this concept like off the wall? And I would never touch it again. That's, again, the first thing. And obviously, if you're starting from zero, it's obviously, what should you be running for type of campaign? And the only, in my opinion, the only type of campaign that you should be running at the start is a testing campaign. And I'm going to walk you through how to set up your testing campaign, by using my screenshots. And I'm going to show you why I set it up this way. And then I have a separate video about testing, which is linked up here. So I highly recommend that you watch the testing video if you're a beginner, because I'm going to show you exactly how to set it up, but also why you need to set it up this way. So if you want to learn like the algorithm stuff and like why you should set up your testing campaign this way, then I highly recommend that you watch this video. But yeah, basically what I want you to do is, if you have Advantage Plus, never mind, no Advantage Plus, but if you, what I recommend you to do is basically launch a campaign, which is a CPO. So make sure that you turn on this thing, Advantage Plus campaign budget, turn this on, and then ideally you would have some sort of naming structure. It could be, for example, product name, top of the funnel, and then testing, because it's a testing campaign, and then the date. This could be naming structure, which, could be great for the start. But essentially here it's super easy. Just make sure it's like a sales campaign, and then you have this button turned on. Next thing, what I want you, or how I usually name my creative tests, is basically, angle and creative type. So it could be, maybe your angle is free express shipping. So it could be free express shipping image or free express shipping UGC video, if you have like a UGC video about that. But again, you kind of get your angle ideas and creative type ideas from your competitors, right? You go to your competitors and look at their ads and see what they're running. And then also super important, make sure you optimize this for purchase always. There should be no other thing, other than purchase. And then for dynamic creative, you turn on dynamic creative. That's super, super important that you turn this thing on. I have a separate video about dynamic creative as well, but in short, in a dynamic creative, each element works with each other, not against each other. But if you want to learn more about dynamic creative, I have a separate video about that as well. And then we're going to go into the actual, ad setup. I haven't screenshot this, but I'm going to walk you through what I want you to do. Basically, you will put 3 creatives, 2 headlines, and 2 ad copies in that one ad set. And then when you launch a new test, you only change one variable. So if you're just starting out, make sure that use basically like super basic headline and ad copies, in my opinion. That's the best way to start, because then they might not be the best, but there's like less variety in your results. Because if you're using some super clever direct response headline and it's shit, you're not gonna get any results. But if you're using like a plain headline, which is like product name basically, then it's very much neutral. So if there's like a change in your CPA, it's usually like the creative, right? So eliminate as many variables as possible. You do that by having like a neutral headline, neutral ad copy at the start, in my opinion. And then for each ad set, you put in the 3 creatives. And the only thing what you want to do is basically you run this test, and then you determine, okay, is it good or bad? And then you duplicate this ad set, and the only thing that you change is the creative. So you keep the same headlines, same ad copies over and over again, till you find something that's working. until you find something that's getting good traction. And again, the only variable that you change is the creative over and over again. You launch 3 new creatives, and then you just keep it running. And again, start by testing angles with simple images. So the best way to start also is just by using plain images with like different benefit statements. So for example, you have your benefit statement here, and then you have a product at the bottom right, and it's just like a plain simple background. If you always use the same product image plus, background, then, and you only change, for example, the benefit statement, maybe it's like free express shipping, maybe it's we have better quality, obviously in a good, a good written way. But if you just, change that sentence, then you can see which people, basically what gets the most traction. Is it like sentence A, sentence B, and then you can kind of dive deeper into that specific variable / angle, right? Same goes for, images with a plain background have the least variance, right? If you just have, for example, a neutral headline, neutral image, neutral ad copy, and the only thing that you change is like the text on the image, and it's just like has different angles on them, then you can pretty much quickly see which angle for your product works the best for you, right? Let's take this step further and let's talk about deodorant. And maybe you have a product picture of your deodorant, maybe certain deodorants, maybe you have a product picture of your deodorant, and the benefits of your deodorant are, non-toxic ingredients and like a good scent. So you might put, might just take a picture of your deodorant on like a white background, and on the top you write, we have deodorant that smells amazing. Obviously be a bit more creative, but you get the point. We have deodorant that smells amazing. And then the other headline could be, or the other text that you add to the image could be like, we have non-toxic ingredient deodorant, right? And then you let this run as a test. And for example, if the scent or the smell gets like super good clicks, way better CPAs than the other one, you could be quite sure that this angle works better, than a non-toxic ingredient angle. And then you take this concept one step further. Maybe you then create, UGC ads around that particular angle. But you get the point. Start with, creatives, headlines, images, ad copies that are somewhat neutral. So the only change is either the creative or the angle that you're doing, right? Yeah, this is basically what I just explained. We can change design for angle, find the angle that is working for you first. Again, you do this ideally. Again, let's also take a look at your competitors, see what they're doing. If they're doing only UGC, I would highly recommend probably you to do the same. But if they're also running some of image ads with like a benefit statement, start by doing plain or easy. It doesn't need to be white background, but plain background image ads with just different benefit statements on them. And this is how you basically find your first creative, right? And then once you did this, it's time to analyze the results. Again, keep ads running till 5 to 10x target CPA. Again, target CPA, we calculated that earlier. It's basically your break-even CPA at the beginning. And first of all, it's important to give Facebook some room to breathe, especially if you're just starting out, right? $30 is probably not to determine whether a concept or a creative type is working or not. There needs to be some room. Obviously, if you're on a super tight budget, I get that it could be, can be hard to wait, but I would rather wait a few more days and then turn something off with we can be sure that this is not working, than, to turn something off where I'm not 100% sure. And then, today, 2 weeks later, I'll relaunch it because, this indication, it might have worked if I just let it run for a few more days. So, give Facebook some room to breathe. And I get that you're on a tight budget, but it's more important to know what's not working, because then you can, in my opinion, it's worth knowing what is not working, because then you can eliminate that from your next test. If you have like 5 different angles and you are sure like angle 1 to 4 are not working, then at least I would hope so that angle 5 then is working for you, right? Same goes for the creative types. If you run lots of images and lots of like UGC ads and none of these are working for you, then it might be time to run like a press image or something like that, for example. And then, I want you, after, you spend 5 to 10x CPA, but I would, again, recommend, it's always hard to say when you should turn off an ad, because it depends on your AOV also. But, let's say you run this to like 10x target CPA, then you turn this off. And then the first thing and the most important thing that you analyze is your CPA. because the only thing you should care about is the CPA. Like all other metrics, are not irrelevant, but they don't have a meaning. Like if your CTR is good but you don't get any sales, you don't care about having a great CTR. And a great CTR is not an indicator that somebody will buy in the future, right? You analyze, did this ad get me sales? And then how far above my target CPA was this ad, right? CPM, CTR, CPC are all secondary metrics. Again, I have a separate video about that, basically about going over the CTR and why it's irrelevant. But what you want to do is, again, analyze CPA first, then take a look at the CPM, CTR, CPC. Are they somewhat in line? If it's like $100 CPM, there's something going wrong. But if your CPM is anywhere from like $5 to like $25, it's you probably somewhere, within the right metrics. Then, CPC and CTR are basically deriving from your CPM, so they don't have like a super big meaning. But, if your CPC is very high and your conversion rate is very low, there might be some like a mismatch between your ad and your landing page, for example. But again, look at the CPA first and then make a decision. Close at target CPA, iterate. If you are like, let's go back to the example that we did here. Your break-even CPA is $25 and have creators that are running at $35. You find an angle in the Creative Type data giving you 35 CPAs. You are at a very, very good point, because all you need to do is now iterate that particular creative to get you to that $25 CPA. So in my opinion, you start iterating. Iterating could be, you stay with the same creative type and same angle, but use different ad copy, different headline, different text in your video, different text on your image. Maybe you test a different hook if you're running video ads. All that kind of stuff is basically iterating. Basically anything that could, which you think could improve the ad's performance. You build a hypothesis, and you may be like, oh, if I improve or if I add this text instead of this text, I think my CPA is going to increase because I think this makes it clearer what I'm selling, and therefore more people click with a higher intention because they actually know what I'm selling, right? Could be a hypothesis. You just iterate. That's basically what you do. And if you're far away from the target CPA, for example, let's say you flat this one to like 10 times target CPA, so it might be like $200, and you have like one sale at like $200. Then what I want you to do is look at the CPM. Is it in line with like $5 to $25? If it is, then your ad probably just was not good enough. But this does not mean that you cannot learn something from it. Look at the ad. Why do you think this didn't perform? Did you get a low CPC but like a low conversion rate as well? Maybe it was because of a mismatch. Maybe it was like clickbaity content, for example. Maybe it was clickbaity hook rate, which got people hooked, and which made people click, but then they notice, I don't know, the product price was too high or like something like that, right? Was there a mismatch between ad and landing page? Did I get any comments? What did the comments say? Maybe the comments say, look, I've never seen like this worse of an ad. Then okay, I need to improve my ad. And this is then how you kind of, if you're far away from your target CPA and you think you've had a great ad, but it's just not performing, you start by testing different angle. Whoop, you just start by point number one again. You take an angle that you think could be working, your next one, or like a creative type that you think could be working, and then you iterate that. Basically, the only variable that you have is like, creative type and angle. And you go through different creative types and different creative angles. And that's basically all you do when it comes to testing. And then, important, it's, focus on stability. Even if you get your first 10 sales, this does not mean that this ad is working or not. You have to get to, if you get 10 sales at a good CPA, that's great. First success, 100% great. But keep that ad running until it got like 50 to 100 purchases, and then make a decision whether this is something that's working or not. Because it still could be, even if you start from zero, that this ad got like low-hanging fruits, and if you scale this up, and the next 10 sales could cost you like $100 per purchase, right? So always, before you make any decision whether something is working or not, there needs to be some significance behind it, and usually that starts at like 50 to 100 sales. If you still get good CPA, like 70 sales, this could be something that you could try to scale up, right? And yeah, that's basically how I would start my Facebook ads, you know, if I would start from zero. Let me quickly sum this up. So make sure you have great high AOV, great conversion rate, good margins. Then calculate your break-even CPA. Start by testing creatives. Before you do that, analyze your competitors, what angles and what types of creatives are they using, and then you just, you know, have as least, you know, variance as possible within your testing, like neutral headline, neutral ad copy, neutral creative ideally first. I usually recommend to start with like an image ad, like a plain background, because it has the least variance, and then you can just use different benefit statements on that image, and then you can kind of test which angle is working. And if you found an angle that's working, you dive deeper into that creative type. That's how I would recommend it, but you can also test different kinds of creatives first with the same angle and see which one of these works the best. And then, you know, you let it run, analyze your results, focus on the CPA, not the CPM, CTR, CPC. And then you just iterate or you scale up. And that's super simple, breaking down in my, again, it's super simple to test Facebook ads or to get ideas for Facebook ads. It's not as hard as everybody thinks it is, in my opinion. And yeah, that's how I would literally start if I would be at zero. Hope you enjoyed this little video, and talk to you soon in the next one.